a great wooden crate bound in heavy chains. None dare linger near it, for they feel the weight of an unseen evil sealed inside. Dark clouds gather over the sea, lightning splitting the heavens. The storm swells, as if summoned by a will darker than nature itself. The captain's lifeless body hangs lashed to the wheel. Lightning flashes across his hollow face. His vigil ended. Yet he stares into eternity. In the darkness of the hold, boxes lie shattered and open. From them swarm hordes of rats, fleeing as if pursued by something far worse. The Demeter groans as the waves batter her hull. Wind screams through the rigging, and the ship staggers like a wounded beast in the night. The crew fight desperately against the storm's fury. Their eyes betray more than fear of the sea, they dread the cursed presence hidden among them. On the rain-soaked deck, shadows slither and stretch. The crew see nothing, yet sense they are not alone. Something evil walks among them unseen. Through the roar of the storm, a terrible crash splits the dawn, the Demeter shatters upon the rocks of Whitby. The sound echoes across the harbor, and alarm spreads as townsfolk cry out, rushing toward the shore. Onlookers rush across the sands, shouting in alarm. They gather at the wreck, yet no soul remains alive aboard, only silence and dread. From the shattered deck, a monstrous wolf hurls itself onto the shore. The townsfolk recoil, crossing themselves as the beast disappears into shadow. The wolf rises on its hind feet, walking upright as man, the creature's form twisting, half wolf, half man. Cloaked in black, it strides into Whitby streets, the Count himself, walking among the living. In her quiet chamber, Mina trembles as she reads the account of the Demeter's doom. A shadow of dread settles over her heart. The sun painted the sea in fire and gold as Mina and Lucy strolled the cliffs. Shadows stretched long, and an unseen dread stirred in the salt wind. That night, the moon summoned Lucy from her bed. Like a pale phantom, she drifted across the grass, gown glowing as if woven from moonlight itself. In the churchyard silence, the shadow of Dracula bent low. His crimson eyes glimmered as he sank his fangs into Lucy's throat, sealing her fate beneath the stars. Mina, faithful and trembling, wrapped Lucy in her shawl, unaware of the evil wound pulsing beneath her friend's delicate skin. Meanwhile, in the asylum, Dr. Seward studied his patient, Renfield. The man's ravings grew sharper, his madness circling ever closer to a terrible truth. Renfield scuttled in the shadows, snatching flies with feverish delight. He whispered to himself, a servant awaiting his master's command. Mina begged Lucy to eat, but the young woman turned away, her lips rejecting earthly sustenance, hungering for something darker. The wound on Lucy's neck deepened, 2 punctures hidden beneath lace and ribbon. A secret signature of the Count, feeding slowly upon her life. Far away, a letter arrived from Budapest. Jonathan was alive, but his words trembled with fear, hinting at horrors locked in memory. In the quiet halls of the convent, gentle hands tended Jonathan's broken body. His eyes remained haunted, as if some part of him still wandered Dracula's halls. Despite the shadows, Mina and Jonathan were wed, binding their hearts together. Yet beneath their vows, the shadow of Dracula loomed, unbroken. Late at night, Jonathan whispered to Mina the name he feared most. Dracula. the word itself was poison, and a vow of vengeance yet to come. She lies pale beneath the fading light, her breath thin as silk. Mina sits close, holding her hand, watching helplessly as the night deepens. Love turns to fear as Lucy's pulse fades, and something unseen steals her strength. Van Helsing draws back the lace from Lucy's throat. Two small wounds glisten faintly beneath the lamplight, delicate, yet dreadful. He whispers, "This is no common sickness, this is the mark of something unholy." Arthur, Seward, and Morris stand silently around her bed. Their faces pale, their hearts breaking. They see the woman they love slipping away, and they know no medicine of man can save her now. Arthur offers his own blood. The crimson lifeline flows from his arm into Lucy's, and color returns to her cheeks for a moment. He smiles in relief, not knowing he's feeding more than the living. A low wind rises from the moors. Then comes the howl, long, mournful, inhuman. The wolves answer one another in the dark, as though rejoicing in a secret only the dead understand. Across calm waters, Mina sails home. But she feels the chill of something unseen, a shadow that followed her across the sea. England's shores draw near, but peace does not. Lucy clutches her rosary, lips moving in silent prayer. The crucifix gleams faintly in the gloom. Her eyes flutter, caught between dreams and death, as the night presses close around her. Glass shatters. Curtains whip. A monstrous wolf bursts through the window in a storm of wind and snow. Its eyes burn like embers, and when it's gone, Lucy's wounds bleed anew. Days later, her tomb lies open. A pale light glows within. Lucy rests there, untouched by decay, her beauty flawless, her lips red as fresh blood. Van Helsing's voice trembles. She is not at rest. Torches flare beneath the cold churchyard moon. Van Helsing stands before the others. "Gentlemen," he says, "the woman we knew as Lucy Westenra is gone. What remains walks by night. She appears, radiant and terrible, eyes burning with hunger. Arthur," she whispers, voice sweet as sin, "come to me." The air chills. Beauty has become death itself. Van Helsing lifts the crucifix high. The golden light strikes Lucy's face. She screams, retreating into the shadows. Smoke curls from her lips as he whispers, "Peace will come, even for her." In the fog-shrouded graveyard, Lucy Westenra moves like a wraith, her lips red as roses, her eyes glowing faintly with hunger. Children follow her laughter through the mist, drawn by a sweetness that hides the serpent beneath. Van Helsing, Seward, and Arthur stand before the iron gate of the Westenra tomb. Torches flicker. The air is heavy with dread, yet in their hearts burns a terrible duty. Within the vault, Lucy lies pale as marble, yet her chest rises with breath not her own. Her beauty, unearthly, her smile, a silent mockery of life. "Back, creature of the night," he thunders, holding high the sacred cross. Its light cuts through the gloom, a burning reminder of heaven's power against the damned. Lucy recoils, hissing, her face twisting with fury and despair. The glow sears her pallid skin, then fades, leaving only a shuddering silence. Arthur steps forward, trembling. Her voice, soft, pleading, calls his name. But Van Helsing's hand on his shoulder reminds him, this is not the woman he loved. When all is done, Lucy lies peaceful once more, her lips pale, her eyes closed in true rest. The monster is gone. Only the memory of love remains. They seal the tomb with sacred wafers and the sign of the cross. Van Helsing draws a crimson sigil in blood and wax, a warning to any who would trespass the dead. Under the rising moon, Van Helsing kneels by the grave. He whispers a prayer for Lucy's soul, and vows to hunt the source of all this evil. Far away, Jonathan Harker stares into the hearth. The smoke curls upward, and within its shape, he sees the Count's face smiling back at him. Pins and strings mark the trail of the Count across London. Every dot a victim, every line a shadow. The hunt is no longer for one vampire, but for the darkness spreading through the city itself. By lamplight, Jonathan and Mina pore over the maps together. Fear flickers in their eyes, but so does courage. The hunt has begun, and the night is far from over. Met Jonathan again on English soil, thinner, shaken, but alive. His voice trembled as he spoke of the Count, and her embrace was less joy than relief that he had not been lost to the dark. Across the street, unseen by most, a black shape scaled the brick face of a building like a hunting spider, cloak pressed to stone, eyes burning, moving with no sound and no human weight. Jonathan worked with a strange fury in the dim storeroom, prying open earth-filled crates and driving stakes into them as if wounding the rooms themselves, each strike a vow that the Count would not rise again. Quincy stood watch in the alley, rifle low, breath fogging in the lamplight, the American still as a coiled beast, listening for hoof, wing, or footfall of the thing they hunted. Then, a brush of cold wind, and the Count passed them in the street in gentleman's guise. Jonathan froze. Mina felt her soul recoil, though she could not name why. By lamplight Jonathan traced deeds, transfers, and sealed contracts, following Dracula not by blood nor shadow, but by ink and property, the map of a predator nesting in lawful paper. In the asylum a cry split the corridors, Renfield at the bars, eyes wide with supernatural dread, shrieking to the night as though something unseen pressed its face against the glass. They found him shaking, whispering and gasping. The master came again, the blood, the night, his shaking in terror not of punishment but of devotion betrayed. Moments later he lay broken, crucifix by his side. Renfield had dragged his body into the sun's rays streaming through his sewered asylum window. His arm burning to dust in the sun's rays, yet even dying he gazed upward with an expression of peace, as though he had found the redemption he sought. In the guest room Dracula bent Mina backward over his chest, her face white with horror as he pressed her lips to his open vein. Mina's eyes glowed crimson red like Dracula's, his mark on her forehead binding her life to his in blasphemous communion. The men burst in like thunder, to confront the monster, their torches and crucifixes light filling the dark room, steel drawn, scripture on their breath, their courage burning against the unnatural stillness of the vampire lord. Dracula's eyes burned crimson red in anger. Cornered, the Count dissolved, his undead flesh thinning into vapor, and he streamed between cracks and sill gaps like cold smoke, fleeing not in defeat, but in patience. The hunters were confused by his disappearance. Mina sat in silence as moonlight traced the scarlet brand upon her brow, a mark left by the Count himself. It pulsed faintly, like a living seal, binding her will to his. In the mirror, she saw not her reflection, but the faint shimmer of crimson veins beneath her skin, whispering the word host. The room dimmed as Mina's breath slowed. A red aura wreathed her form, soft at first, then flaring with unseen command. Her eyes opened but did not see. Words not her own formed upon her lips, echoing in two voices, hers, and another's that traveled through the storm. In the flickering light of a single candle, Jonathan's hands worked without pause. Each stake he carved carried the weight of love and vengeance. His jaw was set, his eyes hollow from sleepless nights, a man reforged by loss, preparing for what could never again be called mercy. Dr. Seward bent over his maps, tracing paths with trembling fingers. Lines of ink became arteries of fate, railroads, roads, and rivers leading north. His every calculation was haunted by the thought that they were not chasing a man, but a storm-wearing human shape. Dr. Seward bent over his maps, tracing paths with trembling fingers. Lines of ink became arteries of fate, railroads, roads, and rivers leading north. His every calculation was haunted by the thought that they were not chasing a man, but a storm-wearing human shape. The hunters gathered around the fire, its glow painting their faces in copper and shadow. Mina sat apart, her gaze fixed beyond the flames. None spoke of the mark, though all had seen it. The night carried a silence heavier than words, a truce between courage and despair. Far across the channel, the Count moved unseen among the crew. Cloaked in mist and menace, he took his place aboard the vessel that would bear him eastward. The harbor lights dimmed as if fearing to witness him depart. Behind him, the water shimmered red as spilled memory. By lantern glow, the hunters traced the ship's progress across parchment. Each mark of ink bled outward, like veins spreading through the page. The red line curved toward Varna, then inland to the Carpathians. Mina's hand hovered above it, trembling, as though she could feel him calling. The wheels clattered like a heartbeat through the night. Mina sat by the window, watching her reflection flicker with each passing light. Sometimes it smiled when she did not. Sometimes its lips moved though hers were still. The air around her smelled faintly of earth and decay. Across the plains they rode, their silhouettes cut by moonlight. Wind tore at their cloaks, but none slowed. They were no longer men chasing evil, they were witnesses to the world's oldest hunt. Behind them lay reason, before them only faith sharpened into purpose. In the small hours before dawn, Van Helsing arranged the relics upon a stone table, crucifixes, wafers, the host, vials of sanctified water. His hands moved reverently, as if touching instruments of war and prayer alike. He fears only the pure, he whispered, for purity cannot be corrupted. Night split open above the Carpathians. Lightning crowned the distant fortress where Dracula waited. Mina stood at the train window, her eyes drawn toward the storm's pulse. The mark on her forehead burned anew, a summons, a bond, a prophecy. The hunt was nearing its end.
Dracula's shadow is only beginning to rise. The full story awaits.